when you're a magician, at least for me, in my experience, what happened was the natural sort of like inclination of looking at the world, that lens became magical. Like for example, like when I speak with someone and like just having a conversation, someone says something like, it is impossible to make this glass float, right? Now, a non-magician would just be like, yeah, of course, it's impossible to make this glass float. But a magician would be like, oh, that's a potential trick, right? That's at least how I thought, like, go about it. So that sort of approach to like looking at everything else in life, looking at impossibilities as opportunities, created this like sort of like, I guess, natural mindset where you're constantly looking for magic, like opportunities of magic around you. And that approach, I think, was the key element in me sort of like recognizing that there's actually plenty of magic which doesn't require things to be floating for magic to be real. And I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you're saying like magic is almost the state of mind of looking for these glimpses or these like little moments in time where something could be considered magic, and then finding ways to make that real.
That's sort of like the kind of the process that I'm going through in terms of like the physical process of the magic that I want to create at the moment. Is like observing magic in the real world and sort of like trying to like distill that down into a trick and see if I can express that. But I think this journey has sort of like, it's more and more now. I think every day it gets more and more like visible to me. At least it feels that way. Is that there's magic all around us, literally. Like I don't know. I might sound a bit like floofy doofy over here, but there's like a lot of there's a quote. I don't know if I think it's Roald Dahl, the famous author, and he was like, only those who believe in magic get to see it. If you want to, something like that, something of that. And I really subscribe to that quote. I think if you look for magic, you'll definitely find magic. And it's ever present. Like there's so much magic. I mean, I don't know how, in terms of like technical scientific detail, it might get a bit like tricky for me to explain what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I am an engineer, so I know how this sounds. But yeah, there's something I genuinely believe now. And it's like just really enhanced, I think, my whole approach to magic and performing.
I think there's there's a difference or like a kind of distinction of like believing something rationally or feeling it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think probably what you're trying to say is that you're feeling this concept as opposed to necessarily like, I rationally believe that there is magic in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a sense of magic, I think. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of things that, you know, you can't explain. I mean, it's not like you can't explain. That's not even what I'm trying to say. Is that they're beyond explaining. They're moments or mind states, or, you know, like the magic of what it is to be a human, or what it is to be, what it is to have consciousness.
Yeah.
And like, well, we literally can't explain consciousness. Like, you know, that's a whole fucking debate.
100%. That's a great point.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like, we were talking with in the pre-recording about this concept of the white room and how, I've already said it, but I'll go quickly just to kind of summarize. Basically, when you're born, you're in this white room and you don't remember anything that's happened before. And then there's people in the room that have all these theories about what's happening outside the room, but no one's ever been outside the room, you know? And so everyone's so sure, like, it's this God, it's that God, it's, you know, God wants you to do this. This is what will happen when you leave this room. But no one's left the room and come back, and no one really understands what the fuck is going on outside the room. And so honestly, the whole experience is sort of this magical thing where it's like, what the fuck is this? No one really knows. And we're just trying to all go through life figuring it out. And I guess when you focus on that when you focus to try to capture the essence of that, right, that could be considered magic in some sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I just, while I was describing this to you, talking to you, and like listening to you talk as well, I just remembered this passage that I've read. If you want to explore this, actually, this like whole idea of magic, real magic, like being around us and stuff like that, and finding meaning in magic, I think a great place to start would be reading the book by Nate Staniforth. Here is Real Magic. Beautiful book. It's not a magic book, like in the sense like it's not got tricks in it. It's just a
Thank fuck.
yeah, legit, dude. It's a beautiful book, and it's about Nate sort of looking for real magic, because he had sort of went through a similar, I guess, journey to what we're talking about, where we're just not finding that meaning, or just not finding that, I guess, joy or wonder, whatever you were saying. And he went through that whole like sort of, I guess, process, and went to India, and he was like, I'm going to find real magic. And that's just a beautiful book. And I think I have it saved on my Instagram, actually, one of the quotes, if I can read out the passage. Let me see. Oh, I don't, fuck. Give me a second.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting about, and I know he's kind of a meme, or like, you know, it's like, David Blaine, he's so mainstream. And like when I've said in the past, David Blaine's my favorite magician, people are like, yeah, whatever. It's such a basic bitch sort of answer.
Yeah.
But like, I think his last special, I don't know if it's the last special, but the one, Real Magic, explores that in such a like visceral way, where it's like, am I just doing this and it's real, or am I, is this an illusion, and what the fuck is the difference? And there's this beautiful clip of him performing for Ricky Gervais. Yeah.
Oh man, with that thing, right?
Where he puts a fucking skewer through his arm, through his own bicep.
Yeah.
And Ricky's just like, you're either a maniac and you're doing this for real, or if it's an illusion, it's the best illusion I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I think you're a maniac. Like, he's pretty much like, you're a fucking crazy motherfucker.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. He's fucking insane. Yeah. But at the same time, it explores that in like a very visceral way, without really being facetious or getting too deep in the weeds. Yeah. I actually really like, there's a lot of stuff, he's done with Stooges and blah, blah, blah. And like, it's the classic magician way to do shit. But I think that special was like very, very good. I really enjoyed that one.
I have huge respect for David Blaine. I think he often, what he does is he blurs the line between illusion and reality. Like the frog thing, dude, like, man, like it's real, right? Like just that kind of like just doing these like real extraordinary stunts. Frozen in Time. You've got the picture over there, poster. Like standing on that pole for 48 hours, living in a box for 44 days without food. That's in so many ways incredibly magical. Yeah. And he often does that. It's a standard thing. Like the recent thing where he did, which flew in the air 30,000 feet. Yeah. On balloons. Yeah. Yeah. That's extraordinary.
I stayed up to watch that live.
Same.
Because I'm like, this is, I don't know how many of these motherfucking crazy shits he's gonna do. Yeah. But like,
I hope he survives this.
I knew, like, to be honest, it's probably one of his least unsafe ones.
Really?
I thought.
It felt so unsafe.
He's really good at doing that, though. Right. He's really good at like playing up the dangers of it. Yeah. But because he had like remote control poppers in the balloons and stuff. Like, I mean, he wasn't gonna get fucked up. Yeah. In my opinion. Yeah. But
and I mean, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. 100%. But at the same time, for me to be like, oh, I was there, quote unquote, for this sort of historical moment of these things that, in my mind, is like, like this is kind of like what got me, like this is what I was fascinated by when I watched Magic at the start,
Absolutely.
And like, I was like, I need to watch this live.
That was a really emotional moment as well, like it's just, I completely like agree with you. Like I felt very similar. Yeah. And I remember like getting emotional watching that, like just, I took so many pictures of him just flying in the air. I was like, this is a really special moment. Like it's like the closest thing to real, like just like technical, rational, real magic that you can see.
Well, I love the fact that he's just sort of like comes up with a crazy idea and finds out like so much of my magic is so much of like, all right, let me find a trick I like, let me perfect it, let me perform it, get the validation. Sweet. Yeah. Very rarely do I go like, I wonder if I could do this. Yeah. And then try to recreate, and I know a lot of good magicians do that. A lot of creative magicians do that. I struggle with that a lot.
I mean, the amount of effort that goes into doing that is really, really high. And I think most of these musicians, they have the whole team working with them. That's the key thing over here. It's really hard to do this solo, man. Like one of the main learnings from Foolers, like I mentioned, is doing it solo is way harder. You got to have a team.
Even for a fucking podcast, man.
Yeah, dude.
That's
sure.
why, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like if I did it myself, it would have been overwhelming.
Yeah.
But as soon as, you know, like Amy was like, yeah, let's do this. And I was like, okay, sweet. I'm not even going to, like, I don't even have to worry about whether or not this succeeds or fails, because I know that like we both believe in this.
Absolutely,
you know?
man.
And that's
so much
fucking
better.
huge.
Same for me with something magic. Like doing the first two, like literally by myself, was so much harder. And now that's having you and Alan on board, and then Morris as well, makes it so much easier, so much better. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the quote that I was talking about. Okay. It's from so he's just a bit of context. He's like met this sage type dude, who's supposed to be a magician as well in India, like this real, like, I guess, mystical dude. And so this is what he says. Everything is magic, he began, spreading his arms wide. And magic happens everywhere, but we are not ready to see it. We don't have the eyes to perceive it, or the ears sensitive enough to hear it. What is more amazing than the fact that the tree outside this door began as a little seed and has grown into this huge tree which has millions of leaves and twigs, each one different and unique? Isn't that magic? Isn't that wow? It is a miracle that we are all sitting here and discussing this. It is a miracle that you have come and that we are all sitting together. He said it again slowly. This is a miracle. But we never speak about our life like this. We want our miracles on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, dude. That's crazy.
Mm.
And it's just it all comes down to just us putting things in boxes.
Yeah.
That we think, we convince ourselves we understand.
Yeah.
We go, oh yeah, I know how the tree works.
Exactly.
Put it in the box.
Absolutely.
Do you though? Do you really understand how the fucking tree works? Does anyone really understand how the tree works?
Yeah.
Or do we just observe patterns and we go, yep, that pattern is most likely going to reappear.
Yeah.
If the conditions are this and this and that. Right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately everything's just a model. Models in science get reinvented and
evaluated and
yeah,
et cetera,
we
et
thought,
cetera.
we thought that the atom looked like this and it had, electrons circling around, and it turns out like, yeah, not quite.
Yeah.
There's a whole probability of the electrons being somewhere.
Absolutely.
Which I don't. What the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? There might be a chance that there are electrons here or here.
Yeah.
But this is the chance. This is the calculate. Like we can calculate the chance. What the fuck does that mean? Is it there or not?
Yeah. And we still don't know that. That's
exactly.
Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even like there's so many examples of that. Like think about like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. That's so magical. Like legit. Like, I mean, if we had no idea how that process worked, even if we know how the process works, look at this creature goes into this little like thing for like some like X amount of time and comes out completely different, completely transformed. That's transformation.
100%. Or even like philosophically, we can't really make sense of what is real and what isn't. Like
Good point.
The parable of the plank, right? Like you take a ship and you start changing one plank. Is it the same ship? Yeah.
Yeah.
You change 2 planks. Is it the same ship? You change 3 planks. At what point does this ship become a different ship?
Yeah.
Like is there a essence of the ship that is there regardless of all the components making it up, right? So, I mean, that comes down to like humanity. Like
humanity. I was going to say like same with humans. Like take my kidney out, put a different kidney in me.
Yeah.
Well, am I still me?
If you're able to upload your consciousness, perhaps in the future, we might be able to upload our consciousness. What is the real me? Is that the consciousness that's in this sort of machine that's making it run?
Yeah.
Or is it just my experience that's the consciousness?
Yeah.
Or it becomes like very, very vague and very like uncertain.
Yeah. This Buddhism talks about this. It's a very like popular concept in Buddhist philosophy. It's the illusion of the self. The self essentially is an illusion. Like,
oh man, I'm tripping on acid as we speak, dude. What the fuck? All right, keep going.
So yeah, that's the exact point, right? Like, what makes us? What is the self? And a rationalist, a scientific thinking process would be, well, it's like your organs, your body, everything, your brain. That's what makes you. And then what about my personality? Where does that come from? What about my likes and dislikes? What about my do my organs define that? And isn't that me? And then some would say that there's it's a combination of environment, nurture and genetics, and those things come together to create this self, essentially. And then you're like, okay, fine, that's me. But then, what happens if one factor changes, this factor changes? Where's the you in all of this? It's all based on external influence. It's based on your genetics. Did you choose your parents? No. Did you choose where you grew up? No. All of those factors you're talking about, even with your like childhood, with the cult and how you felt it was a cult and stuff like that, how that shapes your personality. So if you look at it from that perspective, where is it that you came into the picture, Eduard? Like your DNA, you didn't decide. You didn't decide your environment growing up. You didn't decide any of those things. All of those things were just information being fed into you from, I guess, different sources, external sources. And at none of those points is there like you per se. Where's that self from? So that's what Buddhism talks about.
Which is interesting, because then you get into the whole idea of like the illusion of choice. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like that all sort of leads into hard determinism.
Yeah.
And if you are a hard determinist, then you have to sort of believe that choice isn't
free will.
Free will is not exactly a thing.
Technically, it's non-existent.
And it's basically sort of like what is happening, reality, and this feeling of choice seem to coincide perfectly. It's like two parallel lines that never touch, but they turn at the exact same time, and they you know what I mean, like, because you have an internal experience that is like, I am choosing to pick up this deck of cards and spring it.
Yeah.
But everything that's ever happened up until this point, and everything that's, my whole genetics and my parents, coming together and, creating me, lead up to this moment where I choose to spring the cards. And the internal experience of choosing this feels very much like I've chosen it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a hard determinist would say, if you reset the universe at this exact moment in time, like a few seconds ago, and you just click go, and all the chemical reactions happen, and everything is, because it's all physics and theory, right? Then I would every time I'd pick the cards up and spring, and every time I'd have this experience of choosing to do that thing. But in reality, am I really choosing?
Yeah.
And so that in itself is a magical thing. Like, what the fuck is that?
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching that riveting sneak peek of the full podcast. If you want to see, if you want to see the full episode, click in the link below, and then link in the description. If you want to see more sneak peeks to the full episodes, click around the screen, wherever the hell they are. And if you want to help a brother out, click that like button, click that subscribe, click that bell button, comment down below what you thought. And if not, well, I guess our journey ends here.